that's laying here, sweetly sleeping in the spirit. Really believe in her Lakota custom and culture. And in our culture, the oldest has children, they have daughters and sons. And when something like this happens, they leave a gift that's draped over the coffin, always goes to the oldest son or the oldest daughter's oldest child. And since some of my relatives here don't have daughters or whatever, but Vinny, so his oldest daughter will come and receive this gift. And you always hang on to what Grandma, the gifts that she taught us, she taught us, she instructed us, she kept our family together. So now she's gone, so I'm one of the last of her relatives from Standing Rock. So I'm encouraging you to pick up the valuable gifts that she left behind, her kindness, her humbleness, the love she had for people, and keep those things alive, that she left a strong legacy for all of us to learn from. So I'd like to present this gift to you from my grandma.
Hey, Watch your step, gentlemen.
Holes everywhere.
Take your time. All right, gentlemen, go ahead and place her on the front 2 rollers. Watch the pole right here. If you need to come around it, go ahead.
Watch the hole. Yeah.
Okay, we're good right there. Thank you very much,
Thank
gentlemen. I'm going to
you.
go get the flower.
Yes. Pastor Fernando. Oh, good. Nice to meet you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good. Man, good to see you again. Rita? You're the oldest brother, huh? I know. Okay. Yes, you can sit down, please. Ladies, have a seat. Linda? Oh, you a mask. Off for now? Okay. Blow away. Going to blow away? Mine. Got a magnet?
If you'd like to come in closer, you're welcome. There are a couple of chairs available. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for being here today to show your love and support for Dorothy and her family. And I also want to let you know that we are filming our services today. So please be aware if you want to come up and speak, you're welcome to do so. However, if you would like your portion of the service to be deleted, please let Sam know. Okay? Sam, did you want to go ahead and come up?
My name is Sam Ramirez. I'm Mom's firstborn. I want to thank Jesse very much for taking care of Mom all his life. He committed himself, was dedicated to Mom, and particularly the last number of years where she was invalid and very much immobile. He would do all her errands, feed her, take care of her, clean the house, everything. I'm so grateful that he did that. And Jesse did not want to come today, but if you see him at the reception afterward, please, if you have a free second or two, thank him. Also, Wade and Jesse were very busy the last 3-4 days around the house. I got tired looking at them, I really did. They just did everything that incredibly. Sometimes I wonder, I think of the old biblical prophets of yore. Say, Lord, why have you forgotten me? Why have you forsaken me? What have I done? Early last year, I buried my wife, Sandy. 10 months later, I buried my mother. Mom was, the only consolation to me really was that both died peacefully in their sleep without any pain. Mom was an incredible person, quite a strong character, quite a wonderful mother, and a very strong personality. She loved her dad, our dad, her husband very much, and loved us boys unconditionally. She was very, very proud to be Sue. Very, very proud. There were times where, as we grew bigger and went on into our journey in life, we always knew we had a listening ear, no matter how bad it was or how good it was. She was always willing to listen. She was always made sure that us boys were taken care of and tried to do her best, and she did. She really did her best. She was very, very proud of being part of the greatest generation. She talked about it with me many times. During the war, she worked outside Rapid City in a massive munitions complex that produced bombs, artillery, mortars, heavy artillery like that. And she was so good at her job that her superiors made her supervisor of her shift. And her job was measuring the powder in each shell as it went by her. It was the top job in that, last thing you had to do the shell before it left for the war front. And she said her girlfriends and coworkers used to tease her when she left because they called her Canary because she was totally covered in yellow powder. She just laughed about that. But but more so than anything, she was totally dedicated, loved Dad very much, and loved us boys very much. I still vividly remember, I was sickly as a boy, and I still vividly remember her waking up middle of the night in bed, and Mom would be sitting in a chair next to me against the wall, sleeping. One time, for some reason, we didn't have transportation to the base hospital in Cheyenne, and I remember she put all three of us boys, or four boys, back in a long red wagon and pulled us at least a mile, maybe more than that, to the hospital. I still remember Jimmy sitting in front of me, Vincent behind me. We all fit in that red wagon. Not now. And she just put both hands and pulled. I remember cars passing by and people's faces pressed against the window saying, "What's going on here?" You know, you just see. But she didn't care. Her boys needed help, and she was going to take him to the doctor. She was also very, very proud of being Sioux. She was always talked about the tribe, traditions, her upbringing, and she always told me, "Don't forget, we beat Custer. We beat Custer. Don't let the companies or the government push you around. We beat Custer." Well, Mom, you know, but I'm again proud to report, no company in the government has never pushed me around, ever, never. As we go forward, please remember a very charismatic, very loving mother, and good neighbor, and very good friend. She loved all of us, and we will miss her very much. And thank you for attending. Whoever wants to speak, please.
Are there any other speakers?
Oh, sure.
Please state your name and where you're from.
Okay. My name is Linda Cohen, and I live here in Tucson, Arizona area, and I'm a registered nurse, and I met the Ramirez family through Indian Health Service. I was a nurse at the clinic, at Santa Vera Clinic, and I had the good fortune to have Dorothy assigned to me just to check her medications one day. And I was relaying this story to Sammy the other day when I was at the house, and he asked me if I would share it. When I was going to go to the house, the pharmacist asked me if I could take a pharmacy student with me so they could, number one, have a home visit, meet an elder, and have some experience in managing medications in the home setting. So this young man went with me, and he sat with Dorothy at the table and reviewed all of her medications. But anybody that knows Dorothy, and all of you do, she is a talker, and she started telling him about being Sioux. She was very proud of her upbringing and on the reservation, and had several stories that she recounted to this young man. And at the end of his visit, and we left, he went back and told the pharmacist, everybody who comes from the U of A pharmacy school has to go meet this lady. So it was my job, and sometimes I didn't need to go see Dorothy, and I was on the clock, so I had to make up kind of reasons that we needed to go see Dorothy, because all of the young pharmacy students loved to visit with her. She was always so welcoming and very open and very she educated these young people about the Native American tribe that she was from, and allowed them to see an elder in our community that the family cared very well for. Sometimes some of my patients, my elders weren't that fortunate, but the Ramirez boys always made sure that Dorothy had what she needed and cared for her so well, which made my job easier. But throughout the time that I was still doing case management, probably 10 students I took to visit her just because her reputation preceded. And so they would ask the pharmacist to arrange for me. And so she was always very gracious and treated them all so wonderfully and took that moment to educate them about her being an elder in the Sioux, the Standing Rock tribe. So she and I became very close friends. And I was telling a few people that when I was ready to retire, I was on the phone with her one day, and she said how lonely she was. And I said, well, I'm going to retire in a couple months, and I wanted to talk to you about that. I said, we've gotten to be such close friends at work here. I said, could we just be girlfriends, not nurse and patient? And she said, I would love that, Linda, but we will be lady friends. So anybody that knows Dorothy can hear that come out of her mouth, I'm sure. But I love this woman. The boys know how much I loved her, and I hope that in some way that was reciprocated to me. I certainly felt like it, and everybody always made me feel like a part of the family when I was there. So I not only want to thank Dorothy, but I want to thank all of you. So I'll miss her a lot.
I just want to thank everyone for showing their support and coming here to see my grandma off. I have two brothers that aren't here today, and they loved her very, very much. And I just want to express that on behalf of my siblings and my cousin Wade. I know that they'll all agree that my grandma was very supportive of us. She did everything she possibly could to take care of us, and she loved us. She instilled in us the Native American Lakota Sioux values and also Christian values as well. And she always showed us love and kindness whenever we saw her, and we had a great time with her. And I'm just very fortunate to have spent the time and you know that I was able to with her. Thank you.
I would like to extend my appreciation and thanks for all those who came to pay their respects and their honors to my grandmother, Dorothy Ramirez. And my condolences go to my relatives here, Sam and Benny, and Wade, and the granddaughters. It's really touching to meet relatives that I've never met before. And it's bad we have to meet this way, but you know, it's a pleasure to get to meet you. But my grandma Dorothy was a faithful, beautiful woman of God, leaving a great legacy for all to learn from. All the heavenly gifts she was blessed with from above, she walked in it truthfully, honestly, and faithfully, giving it away by action and words to others around her and at distant calls. She poured out her love and generosity to all, and her love was so merciful, and she was just full of compassion. She didn't care about your background, where you came from, what you looked like, how you dressed, or what you were about. She always had an open door for everyone. And when me and my husband first came to meet her in person, we tried to make it for her 95th birthday, but we couldn't make it. But we got here about the 2nd to 3rd of November, and as soon as I walked in that house and I saw my grandma smiling and so happy to see me, I just felt the atmosphere of her, the serenity in that home. It was so spirit-filled, and it was peaceful. It was just love. You could just feel that love just greatly flowing into her house. And I never had such a peaceful sleep in all my life in somebody else's home. Now I come to my grandma's house, I slept like a baby. But anyway, her love for people was very dynamic, and she was always willing to give a helping hand. Her home was everyone's home. She reached out with such amazing love to those of a greater need than herself. And this is who she was. And the vision I have of my grandmother was she was a loving person, she was a caring person, she was a forgiving person, she was faithful, she had kind words for everyone, she was very humble and peaceful, and she was very, very much inspirational. And she also was full of humor. And also she was bold and courageous and spirit lifting, merciful, grateful. She had a great heart of compassion. She was a positive role model to us women of how she lived her life, you know. She, being with her love of her life, her husband, and you know, she stayed faithful to him. You know, I'm sure my grandma could have went and did something out of the way, but she didn't. The way I seen my grandmother in her walk, she remained faithful to her husband, the one that she very loved so much. And now she's joined him. She's with him now, you know, and that's really touching to my heart. I'm happy for them, this great reunion. And so, you know, I just encourage us young women to, like my grandma said, she was really proud of me that at the end of my bad choices of relationships, she said she was proud of me for praying about it and waiting for the Great Spirit to bring my soulmate. And she said that's the way it ought to be with everyone, that we need to pray about our soulmates or we make wrong decisions, bad decisions. And she also gave me that encouraging word that if God don't have his hand on your relationships, it'll never last. And this is the role model that my grandma showed. I learned a lot through telephone conversations and just coming to meet her in person. She was my teacher and she was my inspiration. I will always, from the things I learned from my grandma Dorothy, I will always treasure them and keep them in my heart and live it the way she showed me the path to walk on, the path she did. And she was my inspiration and love of my being. But at the closing of this, she lived through trials and her tribulations and the storms of her life. But she lived according to 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 7 through 9. Grandma always carried this treasure in her earthen vessel, which is her heart and soul, the excellence of the power of God and not of herself. Even though at times of hardships in her life she established her feet on the rock of Jesus Christ, when she was hard pressed on every side, and by her belief and faith, she knew she will not be crushed. When she was perplexed, she was not in despair. And when she was persecuted, but she knew she was not forsaken. At times she could have been struck down, but her faith and belief in God, she was not destroyed. Grandma always gave thanks to our Lord and Savior for everything. She loved Jesus to live for him and only him. She trusted and obeyed to live this long with the joy of the Lord, which was her strength and peace. She was beautifully and wonderfully and fearfully made.